Hi, welcome to Senior Moments, Successful Aging. I'm Mary Beals-Luedtka, your host. I'm the director for the Area Agency on Aging at NACOG, and you can reach us, me, anybody at the Area Agency on Aging, at our toll-free number, 877-521-3500. This program is co-sponsored by the Area Agency on Aging and the Division of Lifelong Learning at Yavapai College. And our producer, really important because really she's the one that does all the work behind the scenes, I just talk, is Danny Tomerlin. And you can reach Danny at 928-717-7755. So if you have questions about today's show, if you have ideas about things you'd like us to talk about in the future, give Danny a call. Again, 717-7755. And now I would like to welcome today's guest, the lead police officer, David Fuller. Officer Fuller.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Shall I call you Officer Fuller?
David's fine.
David's good?
Yep.
Okay, I can
That's
remember
perfect.
David. All right. Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you.
Really nice to have you. It's your first time here on
It's my first time here.
All
It
right.
is.
And so I'm excited about talking about the projects that you're doing in Prescott Police, but I want to start with a little bit about your background. How long have you been in Prescott and how did you get into law enforcement?
My background, was born and raised in Phoenix, grew up down there. I got into law enforcement because of my family. Lots of members of my family, primarily my dad. Saw my dad as a police officer for over 30 years, and so I followed in his footsteps. I moved up to Prescott in 1989, and I've been a police officer up here for about 28 years now. So.
What does it mean to be the lead police officer?
It's just a fancy extra title for us. It's basically what I tell people is it's all the responsibility of a supervisor, but none of the pay.
Gotcha.
So we can act as a sergeant and make those decisions type of deal when they're not available. It's just an asset, an additional asset for the agency.
Well, it's an asset for the agency that you've been there that long because those years are experience.
Yeah, I've been there a long time. I've been very fortunate in my career, been able to do a lot of different things. And it's kind of in the twilight. I got a couple years left before retirement, but I've been very blessed to do a lot of different things throughout my career.
Yeah, it looks like it. You've been parole officer? Field? No, not patrol officer.
Patrol officer.
You'd
Started
be helpful
out.
if I could. Maybe I should put my
Everybody starts out as a patrol officer.
Okay.
They start out in patrol.
SWAT?
Yeah, I was on a member of the
Wow.
SWAT team for about 11 years.
Oh, fun. You did bicycle.
Did bicycle, currently do bicycle a little bit. Probably one of the best jobs in the department.
Is it really fun?
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. You get to pedal around downtown, you get lots of exercise, you really talk to a lot of people. We found that the bike officers are extremely approachable.
Yeah.
And it works both ways. People don't pay a lot of attention to you. You're just a guy on a bicycle. But then they'll come up and just chat with you because you don't have the confines of a car, the barriers of a car. So people just come up and chat with you. We spend a lot of time downtown.
That's really nice because it's all about being part of the community.
It really is, much more approachable. We get, we're kind of a catch-all. A lot of times we do a lot of different things that needs attention or falls through the cracks. So we get assigned to that, and it's a smaller squad, a little bit more close-knit. But we get a lot of that stuff, and we're able to work on a lot of projects and do a lot of different things as well.
And what a beautiful place to work, downtown Prescott.
It's great. I mean, again, you get lots of exercise. You get to pedal around. You get to enjoy the outdoors.
Very nice.
And there's a lot of play involved when you get some men on bicycles. There's competitions that come out and
I like it.
things like that. So we have a lot of fun with it as well.
Good. You do hard work. I mean, what you do, I really respect, and I know what's involved. I have a son-in-law in law enforcement, and it's nice that you can have a little fun too, because if you can't take time to do that, you'll get a little bit too stressed out.
Yeah, and this is the type of job you have to have some fun in too.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. So we're here to talk about what the Prescott Police Department have done with Alzheimer's.
Okay.
And I think it started with a grant, right?
Yeah, it started with a grant from the University of Illinois. We received the grant, I think, about 5 years ago.
I think so. Wow.
Along with that grant came some training money and some opportunities for us. We started working through the grant and working through some training things, and we rapidly determined we needed some education on the topic. Myself and Sergeant Scott and Officer Gerlach were fortunate enough. We went to the outskirts of Dallas, Texas for a couple of days to receive some training on this. It was through the International Association of Chiefs of Police. They sponsored the training, and it was a couple of days of train the trainer, real hands-on, some instruction, learning about the disease, and learning how to pass that on to other law enforcement officials.
And how do you, And we'll get into some more specifics about it. You know, how does the program actually work? I mean, so you got the training, you're understanding the disease more, and then how did you implement that knowledge?
We started out, we did a lot of research, and I can't claim all the credit for it. I was just a very small portion of it. But we started kind of, because we determined it is more of a problem than we ever realized. And more how to respond to that problem. It used to be historically, many years ago, you'd encounter somebody that was maybe wandering, or you'd bump into them and you just didn't know what to do with them, call the fire department and we'd leave. Well, that's not a very good solution to the problem. And so how do we respond to that? What do we do? What's the best case to do it with? And we came up with our bracelet program. And so we have a bracelet program that we instituted, and a lot of research went into that, a lot of back and forth between the legal department. What do we do? How do we do it? How do we track people, if you will, which is, obviously kind of, people get worked up about that sometimes.
Yes, they do.
I mean, there's all kinds of different tracking methods, from chips to, GPS systems to our program. And it was kind of the least invasive, if you will. It was just a simple bracelet, just much like a watch or a piece of jewelry that a person afflicted with the disease can wear. It's got some contact information. Those folks and the family fill the paperwork out. We put it into our CAD, our computer-aided dispatch system. So that address pops up, we will know that we're dealing with an Alzheimer's or dementia-related patient. We run the person through the program, or we run bracelet number 14. It's going to pop up with John Smith, who lives at 123 Oak Street. So it gives us hopefully an immediate solution or a fix to the problem. We can get John home, we can get him back, we can talk to the family, figure out why he went the way he did, went wandering or went for a walk, and come up with some solutions, maybe help them out a little bit, or certainly get him the medical attention that he
How did they
needs.
get the bracelet?
You fill out a form. We have forms on our website that's available to us. You can just fill out the form and then return it to us. We look through it. Basically, we're not going to second guess a doctor or anything like that. If you're eligible, you're eligible. Fill the form out, get it back to us. We enter the information into the computer. That way we know who we're tracking. Raskins has been very generous with their services.
Nice.
They're engraving the bracelets for us. They actually, one of the things we found out very early on was some folks might not remember where they live, but they remember how to get a watch off. So they would take the bracelet off. So we found that out very early on in the program. So Raskins helps us out with that. For lack of a better term, they rivet the bracelet on, so it can't be taken off.
Excellent.
Many folks can work an alligator clip or whatever those things are called. Well, Raskins we solved that problem. Now it can't be taken off.
Excellent.
So it's there. So Raskins has been a big help to us as well with the program.
Long time business in this community.
Correct. Yeah, and they stepped up right away. We were able to get the bracelets at cost. And they've just helped us out a tremendous amount.
So if someone wants to do that and they can't afford the bracelet, then you've got dollars to help with that?
The bracelet is free of cost. That is part of the
Nice.
program that comes through the grant program. So we purchased a number of bracelets.
Nice.
We've actually been able to, fortunately, to distribute some of those bracelets to some other area agencies as well to help them out too.
So is this just for the Prescott area?
No, well, when I say the Prescott area, it's really kind of a Quad City area.
I was thinking it was.
Yeah, with the grant program, since we're administrating the grant, it's basically anybody that is associated with us or the Prescott Regional Communication Center, which really helps out because it's a regional communication center. They dispatch for not only police but fire as well. So anybody that gets dispatched by police at Prescott Regional Communication Center or by fire is eligible for the program. That's how, like for example, we don't dispatch for the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office, but we dispatch for Central Yavapai Fire.
There you go.
So they're tied in as well. Chino Valley, same thing. We don't dispatch for them, but we dispatch for the fire department out there. So it works out really well. Prescott Valley is associated with the program. And like I said, many of the area fire departments are encompassing some of those areas that normally wouldn't be eligible, but we've kind of figured out a way to make them eligible. And
Excellent.
So
this has been going on for 5 years.
yes.
So, what were the challenges of putting this together? Because one of the things we're talking about regionally is dementia-friendly communities. And this is a huge step that Prescott and the Quad City area have already made towards being a dementia-friendly community. So, what were some of the difficulties in implementing this program?
The first thing that we did was training. Training is always really important. You can have the tools to do something, but if you don't know how to do it, that might be a problem. We were fortunate, our administration and the area administrations as well were very open to that training. So they sent us to school to get this knowledge. Well, part of our job is to pass it on too. So we held some area trainings, and they were very well received. We had members of many police and fire agencies that attended those trainings, and it was basically a first responder approach or a first responder response to Alzheimer's and dementia-related illnesses. So we started out with training, how to talk to people, what not to do, what to do, how the program would work with our agency, some suggestions with other agencies as well, how to implement those. Again, that was very well received. We were able to train a lot of people. And then we moved into just probably the biggest roadblock, if you will, is getting the word out. Hopefully programs like this will really help.
Yeah, I hope so too.
We can get the word out. We've been involved with some doctors and the hospital and kind of pitching the idea to them. And word trickles out a little bit here and there. We don't have thousands of these bracelets out, which is a good thing, but a bad thing as well. It's a good thing that there's not, that great of a call right now for it, but it is out there, and it's very underreported, I think.
Oh, I think
There's
so too.
lots and lots of folks that are eligible for the program, just don't know about it. So if we could get the word out of, hey, this program is available. Some people, it's a voluntary program completely. It might not fit for some people. Some people might not like it. For others, it might be, oh, perfect.
I'm sure you find the family members are the ones that say, oh, perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, please, thank you. We need some help.
It just gives them an extra tool.
It
gives
does.
them an extra tool. One of the things, and maybe I'm jumping ahead of myself, one of the things that we identified early on was caregivers. And what do we do about this caregiver that maybe potentially is involved in an accident away from home?
Yeah.
And nobody knows that the patient is at home by themselves. So what we did was we instituted a caregiver bracelet as well. So now, if your mom has a bracelet, you can get a caregiver bracelet as well. That way we know if you get in an accident, we see that bracelet, we know that she's a caregiver for John Smith at 123 Oak Street. We need to go and deal with John
And make sure John's okay.
Exactly.
So is there a way we could put a link on our website for that?
Sure.
I think we need to.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because, the Area Agency on Aging does the central information referral, and that's a resource. That's a community resource that we need to make sure that the folks that are calling in know about. And we do caregiver work as well.
Yeah, that was one of the things that really struck with me going through this whole, training and learning and stuff like that, was the impact on the caregivers. It's just gut-wrenching. You see some of that. And there was a video that we show in our trainings, and it was off an HBO special a number of years ago, and it's just gut-wrenching. That's the worst part of the whole training for me. It's just because naturally many of us place ourselves in those positions. What would I do? How would I care for my folks, or something like that? And it's just gut-wrenching.
And you don't know what it's like till it happens to you.
Exactly. It's just that unknown.
It's very
right
hard
there.
to see my mother be the way she is.
Sure. And I always talk about it. My grandmother would have a fit if she ever knew I talk about her so much. But I'm blessed I have a grandmother right now.
You are.
She's a little bitty 89-year-old
That's how old my mom is.
Woman from West Texas that we're blessed. She just moved out here to Arizona. But, I always tell in our trainings and stuff, that's how I treat my grandmother is how I want you to work on the streets.
Absolutely.
And if you put a little bit of human side to it and a little bit of personal side to it, I think we'll be successful.
So one of the horror stories you always hear, and rumors, that fly that, oh my God, the police picked up this person and cuffed him and took him to jail, and oh my God, they had Alzheimer's. So, I'm thrilled about this program because I know that helps with that. So what are some of the outcomes that you've seen in the last 5 years because of all the work that you put in?
I think just a more knowledgeable basis for us. This sort of thing, we're police officers. We're trained in, I can put somebody in jail, I can write somebody a ticket. Those are easy decisions for us. But we move into a little bit of unknown area or a little bit of area where we're just not comfortable with. Yeah. And again, historically, we used to say many years ago, call the fire department, let them deal with it. Well, That's not an optimal solution anymore. We need to deal with it, and we need to figure out how to do this. My agency has seen the need for this. We used to ask a question that in a verbal response interview very early on in the hiring process. You encounter somebody walking around not dressed appropriately. It's wintertime. They're wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants. No identification. What do you do about this? And it causes our officers just to think and to think outside the box a little bit for an appropriate solution. So that training and realizing a lot of times in our job we have to hurry up and go fast, and move on to the next job. Well, this is one of those situations where it's our job to slow down and think this through. And if it takes an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to find an appropriate solution to this, then that is appropriate. And I always equate it when I'm training first responders. What would we do if we found a 2-year-old wandering on the streets? We would pull all the stops out for that.
Yeah.
Same situation, just an older person.
Excellent.
We need to pull all the stops out, slow down, and do everything we can to approach that and to fix that. So that's a solution that we've come up with and a tip, if you will. And then, like I said, just giving our officers some training and some tips and some resources to try and solve this problem. Because we can't just say, well, that's not a police problem, so we're going to leave. We need to fix it. We need to handle it and see it through fruition.
And it's a community problem.
It really is, you know, and we're blessed. We live in a beautiful area. Prescott is a beautiful area, but we have an elder population as well. And with that, unfortunately, comes Alzheimer's and dementia-related illnesses, and that's more prevalent in our community than maybe a community of 35-year-olds, you know.
Well, Flagstaff is a lot younger.
Is a lot
for
younger.
instance.
They have the college program and stuff like that. Yeah, so their population is going to be different,
Much
completely
less.
different than ours, you know. Our population is probably different than like Sun City, for example, down in the valley. So you have to approach different problems in your community different. It's just not a cookie cutter approach.
No.
You have to tailor that.
It's the local stuff.
Sure.
So have you seen, you know, better solutions come out of this for folks? Because I would think one of the hardest thing would be for someone who's undiagnosed, clearly has dementia. I would see the dementia, but maybe wandering around, and you know, I think it would be easy to jump to the conclusion that they were on drugs.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, with our population here in town, we, rehab houses and things like that, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
But we've had some success stories. I personally have not been involved with a success story with our bracelet program, but I've been personally involved with 2 or 3 different things when we've learned we've taken our training, implemented it, and been very successful.
Excellent.
We had a one situation probably, a year and a half ago. And this gentleman, he backed his Jeep out of the driveway. That was his treat, if you will. That was his recreation. He had a Jeep and he loved it, and he backed his Jeep out of the driveway. That's what he got to do. Well, he backed it out and hit the end of the driveway and went for a drive.
Yeah. Oops.
And so now we have somebody who's wandering in a vehicle, mobile. Cell phones are difficult to operate sometimes. May or may not have a wallet with you. And all kinds of different things. We did some good police work. I'll pat us on the back a little bit. Some good cooperation between us. Our dispatchers did a phenomenal job that day. Everybody got on board. We were able to do some different things. Long story short, the gentleman was located in Gilbert, and he was headed to California.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Valley agencies really helped us out a lot as well. They took him to the fire department. Fire department fed him that night. He was hanging out with the fellas at the fire agency. So that was a success story.
Yeah.
And it turned out very good. I worry about the day when it doesn't turn out very good, though.
But now you have better tools,
Yes.
than a lot of communities that I cover 4 counties. And we don't have that in a lot of the communities. And so one of the things we're going to try to do to help you, first of all, get the word out more about what you're doing here, but also to do local community trainings and develop dementia friends.
Yeah.
So that, and we're working on dementia-friendly cities, dementia-friendly Arizona. Tempe is already a dementia-friendly city. We're going to use them as a model. There's actually a dementia-friendly America
Okay.
So, definitely we'll be contacting you with about,
Sure.
because the more citizens that know about that, they can help you too.
Yeah, the more the word gets out, right now it seems to be a little bit isolated among law enforcement
Yeah.
and among folks that are really specific to this. NACOG, the
Yeah.
Alzheimer's Association, the doctors, it's kind of centralized. But the more we can get that information out, the much better off we are.
And then we can all make it safe.
Sure,
We can all
absolutely.
make it safe for everybody.
I think when we started this program, there was only one other agency in the state that had an alert program, and I think that was Mesa.
Yes, it was Mesa with
It-
Karen.
Yeah, when we started the
yeah.
program. So, I mean, you just look at us right now,
Bingo.
Prescott Valley, Chino Valley, YCSO. That's just in our area right here. And again, we work very closely not only with those agencies, but smaller agencies as well. Yavapai College Police Department, Tribal Police Department, they're involved as well. So you look at just our area, and we're very friendly to that and very concerned about the issue.
Yeah, and like you said, we've got about a 30% senior population here.
Yeah, it really is. And some of those stats are really staggering when you
Yeah.
think about it. I was looking at some stats just to prep a little bit before I came in today, and it's just staggering, some of those numbers.
And it's going up.
And it's going up
Every
and up and
day.
up, and still no cure.
So we got to have that foundation. And so, you've already been working on it for 5 years. And again, it takes a community. What can we do to help you? Are there other area resources that you connect with, or?
Yeah, the other area of resources that we are really good in, we have several doctors that have been very, very friendly for us. Music for Every Year with Dr. Gilber. He was a great asset to me, just for my training, my knowledge base, if you will, and sitting in on some of their conferences and sitting in on some of their symposiums, if you will, and handing out literature and information about, please contact us. Because most people just, again, we go back to, they just don't know about our program. They're very fascinated by it, and they don't know about it, and we'll see a little bit of ebb and flow. We'll go to something like that, and we'll get some applications in. And then that'll wane for a little bit. And then we'll go to another one, and it peaks. And then we'll go to another one, but some of those are few and far between, every year, every 6 months, trying to get that word out.
It sounds just like us.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm amazed still that people don't know about the Area Agency on Aging and all the services that we do. So we have the same thing, because they don't give us marketing dollars, right? Yeah. It's called
Money.
outreach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally
Everything
relate
is
to
driven
that,
by
David.
money sometimes.
I know, and it's tough. So, if we work together on that, that will be helpful. We'll make
Sure.
sure that our central intake team that does INR for the region knows about it, so that we can maybe get some more folks signed up with those bracelets. And I love the idea that you've got the rivet on it.
Yeah, that's, again, it's just, we learn from it. We learn from our mistakes. Somebody told us about that. He had a wife and said, again, she doesn't know where she lives, but she remembers how to take her jewelry off.
Plus, Alzheimer's clients tend to pick at things.
Yeah, yeah.
And if they get, my mother, if she gets fixated on something,
Fixated.
she won't let it go. So you have to divert her attention to something else. So if she's trying to get something off her wrist and there's a way to do it, she'll get it off.
Yeah.
She will get it
They can
off.
figure that out, absolutely.
Absolutely can
understand.
figure out. But what a dastardly disease.
Yeah. It's, again, I did not start my police career thinking that I was going to learn about Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
25 years ago, I would have not have guessed that at all. But it's also rewarding, and you see different things of a success story, like that old man that went for a ride, and I can see that happening. He just went for a ride, and that's a success story, and it potentially saved somebody's life that day. And if you look at it that way, or you deal with a family that is just at wit's end and has no idea what to do, and tensions and emotions are high, and bickering and back and forth, and frustration. You can feel the frustration and see it. And if you can give them some resources, that's a huge win, because that is why I got into law enforcement, to help people.
There you
It's
go.
helping people in a different way. You never would have imagined it, but that's life impacting.
Yeah,
So that's a win.
absolutely. And it's interesting too, and I'm sure that's part of your training, is that folks don't understand that someone who has Alzheimer's, especially moderate to severe, may be aphasic, may not be able to speak, but they understand your body language and your intent.
Sure.
And if you put that human factor and look at them like it's going to be okay, you can calm them down. But if you come at them and you're all stressed out,
Sure.
oh my gosh, it just accelerates it. And then when the family's stressed out, accelerates that stress all the way across the family. And it's really rough.
And that's some of the tips we talk about in our training session
Good.
as well, about how to talk to somebody, how to approach somebody. what to do, what not to do. And there's no necessarily good blueprint, but there's some suggestions that you can use to help you in those situations. Like you said about, invading somebody's space or touching them when they don't expect it, and things like that. So we know that those are barriers sometimes. There's violence involved with the disease.
Oh, yeah,
we know that.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I'm not necessarily dealing with John Dillinger or something like that.
Right.
We have to tone it down, and there's times and places that we are able to tone that down, not necessarily sacrificing our officer safety skills, because those are paramount for us. We always do that, but there's a time and a place for everything as well. And this is certainly one of those time and places where you can, again, not sacrifice and but just do things differently and approach differently.
Well, like you said, it's not black and white.
Yeah, it really
but
isn't.
then you get to think outside the box. You get to use your reasoning skills. Think about with your training, you can make those decisions in a lot better way.
Yeah.
And it just isn't black and white.
Yeah,
I
it
wish it
really
was,
isn't.
but it isn't. It's a weird disease because it could, like you said, it could affect a part of the brain that causes violence. It could affect the part of the brain that causes them to be hyperly sexual. My mother cusses now. Never cussed her entire life, and the stuff that comes out of her mouth is like, what, my mother?
Yeah.
So it's really not the person, and I think separating that and knowing it's the disease and where it attacks
It's
in the
the
brain.
disease, and those folks unfortunately have lost the knowledge of intent. There is no intent
No,
there. There's
isn't.
no ill means or ill, anything. They're just not. They don't know what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
And if we can back that off and just realize, again, that's part of our training. We show a video that just was not a very good outcome, and it dealt with law enforcement.
Yeah.
And a lady had a knife in a parking lot, and it was just the daughter seatbelted her in the car and had to go run into the Walmart real quick. Well, she had bootlegged a butcher knife and found one and cut the seatbelt and got out of the car. And waving the knife around and different things, and just not a good response by law enforcement. We saw that, we understood that, and that's a learning issue for us too, of this is not a good response. And I go back to, I personalize it. If this is my grandmother, how do I want you responding to that?
Right.
If it's your grandmother, how do you want me to respond to that? And if you make that personal and that connection, then we're much better off.
We're much better off. And I'm so proud that, I live in the Quad City area, and we have a police department that cares about these issues.
Yeah.
And how far you've come in these 5 years. And I look forward to working with you in the future. And I really want to thank you for your work at this. And like you said, I didn't think I was going to be in aging either when I started my career. I actually work in neonatal nursery. So David Fuller, Officer Fuller, thank you for being here with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Nice
ma'am.
to meet you.
Appreciate
And
it.
thank you for joining us.
Thank
I hope you got some tips today. And also, please call us for more resources on Alzheimer's issues at 877-521-3500. This is Senior Moments Successful Aging. Until next time.